Okay, so the first thing I would do with these is I would put the square root of 12 in my calculator and see if it's a perfect square. It's not. But then I would do the same thing with the 147 and see if it's a perfect square. And again, it's not. But if it was, you'd be a lot faster to being done with what you're going to do. Okay, so since they're not perfect squares, then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to break them down, because as they are right now, they are not, you cannot do anything with them. You can't add them, because in order to add roots, you have to have the same number underneath the square root symbol, and 12 and 147 is not the same number. So let's break this down a little bit. So this first one, I'm going to break down into, I'm going to have my 3, and then I'm going to break down the square root of 12 to factors of 12. So 12, 4, and 3 are 2 factors of 12. If you can come up with a factor that is a square root, a perfect square, that makes your life a little bit easier. But if you can't figure it out, that's okay. Factoring down you get will make it a lot easier. So then from there, I'm going to take and I'm going to go, okay, we have the square root of 4 becomes 2 times 2 times 3. Since I have 2 of these, I can take the square root of this. The square root of 2 times 2 is 2. So I'm going to take that 2 and put it on the outside, and that's going to leave me with square root of 3. And so my final answer is going to be 6 times the square root of 3, because I'm going to multiply those two together. Okay, so when you take the square root of two numbers that are the same, one of them comes out on the outside because that's the root. Okay, so now I have 6 times the square root of 3. This is going to actually make this one a little bit easier, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 and I'm going to divide it into 147. And when I did that, I got that the square root of 147 is the same thing as 49 times 3. 49 is a perfect square. So I'm going to break that down a little bit further. So 7 times 7 is 49 times 3 has the whole square root of 147. Okay, I have two numbers here that are the same, so that means I can take take it as the square root of 7 times 7 is 2 times 7, and we have the square root of 3, and that's going to come down to 14 times the square root of 3. Now we can actually add these two together, and what we add is just the number in front. It's going to be 6 plus 14 times the square root of 3. Okay, and so 6 plus 14 is 20. So my final answer is 20 times the square root of 3.